Hey everyone, I'm Brad Chmielewski, and we're back with another episode. I've been cranking them out here for you guys. We had Vertigo and Gangstars, and this time I got Rome on. Rome recently joined the Super Evil Megacorp team as the analyst. You see him on VGL, you saw him on the desk for the live championship in autumn. Yeah, so fantastic to talk to him. Getting hyped up about VGL. We talk about the jungle changes because he helped put those notes together and get a little more insight on why are those dudes so strong. Like, come on, man. I'm dying out there. Underestimating their damage. They chase. They're so strong. What's the deal with this? So we're diving into all that. Still a little different episode, but we're diving into the patch notes and the VGL and hearing Rome's story. So hopefully everyone's enjoying these all these episodes and a little different take outside of the regular news, the form static, and the crazy game stories. We'll get back to that at some point, but let me know if you're liking these more or you like the news. Want to give you guys what you want. So let's do it. Let's jump into this episode.
Shatter the Vain, a podcast about vainglory.
This is episode 79 of Shatter the Vain. My name is Brad Chmielewski, and this is a podcast all about vainglory. Man, I am cranking out the episodes, and I was able to get a special guest on this one. I got Rome joining me. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Rome, and I actually tune in to watch Shatter the Vein at least once a week.
Nice.
And I do notice you're always wearing different caps, and
yeah, I got
each time go ahead.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of hats. I need one of those Super Evil hats there.
Yeah, I had to pull this out and wrap it up today just to be on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm working as a project manager and desk analyst for SCMC. As many people probably noticed before, I started off doing a bunch of analyst work at the live events,
Yeah.
and then over to Europe, and then for the offline qualifiers for winter season.
Yeah, how'd you, I guess, even before getting started at Super Evil, I'd love to to back up a little bit. How'd you get into Vainglory? How'd you find this game to start with?
Well, originally, I do play a lot of video games. It's been something since I was young, and throughout the entire time, it's I've never played any video game. I would never look at it competitively. Instead, I would try and get as good as I can, try and improve on whatever I can to be a very dominant player. And most of this time, it was just to play between friends. And so with video games, I do spend a lot of time watching reviews, watching new video games come out, especially since mobile came out and since games have been getting so deep and in depth. The graphics have been amazing. So I've been into mobile games for at least 2 years now.
Okay. Were you playing other MOBAs then? You were into all these other games? Were you into MOBAs?
Originally, I started with Dota in World Warcraft 3. And that transitioned over to, I believe, Heroes of New Earth, which I thought was an awesome game. And then on to Dota 2, and then I jumped into League for a little bit.
So you were into the mobile scene and everything, and then did you see the Apple event and you came across Vainglory as it was starting, or did you come into it a little later after it was kind of already rolling a little bit?
I actually downloaded Vainglory before I moved to the city and to Toronto.
Okay.
And what happened then was I have this addiction where I'm going through the App Store every day.
Okay.
And literally, I'm reading reviews on different games, and Vainglory pops up one day while I was in the car. So I downloaded Vainglory, and I ran through the tutorial really quick. I played a Saw match, and I was 30. I went 30-5, and I was I really like this game. It was the controls. The control system really made a difference for me.
Okay.
And one of the other things was the pace of the game. I liked how there was so many fights in the early game. I like all the different clashes instead of building up to a hype and then just finishing the game after that. I like how Vainglory is just really back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you fight all the time. That's kind of what we all grown accustomed to, rather than this 10-minute farming session that's often boring. And I think if that was on the mobile, we'd all kind of just be like, ah, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely like this game is built towards the mobile gamer. It's built towards like commute, just easy access. And after I moved, I started playing it. I started playing it a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I wonder what happens if I play on my iPad. And I'm pretty sure everybody thought the same thing. Once you go into a bigger screen, you just have so much more access. It just blew my mind. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I play on the iPad mini and I am terrible on the phone. I think I've said this before. Like I can't hit anything, I can't tap, I can't last hit. So yeah, going to a smaller screen, I know so going vice versa, it must just be like, oh my God, look at everything and it looks so good too.
But you have to notice like there's some of those star players, especially if you're looking at like Druid or you're looking at those Liberation X guys.
Yeah.
They play on I think an iPhone 5S,
Yeah.
and they just pretty much came into the live championships and just told everybody how it was done.
I can't believe that when you see someone on the smaller screens. It's like, how are you doing this? Like
I know I was pretty amazed myself, and like I'm talking to them, I'm trying to persuade them. Okay, you gotta make that leap. You're gonna improve your gameplay so much. You're gonna find like micromanagement so much easier, and they're just like, no, I'm good. I got this.
I know what happens when like they don't can't get a 5S anymore. It's like you got to move up.
Yeah, but I have problems like reaching for the reflex block items sometimes,
Hmm.
and if I were to play on like a device that small again, I don't think I could do it.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. So you're playing a lot of the game, and you're just like deep in the community then at that point, right? Like,
So it actually started before like the public beta actually came out, PBE, and during this time, it's like every time a patch came out, I would play it a lot for like 2 days, and then
okay,
I would send in a pretty long email
okay,
to SCMC, and it goes from everything like I would try and discuss terms of balances, terms of gameplay, mechanics that should be involved. Like I just gave them my thoughts. I wasn't directing or anything. I was saying I think this might work. I think this might work.
okay.
And then after that, I went over and I started doing a lot of marketing towards marketing, how to get the game in towards like reaching out towards more people, trying to get people to convert from other types of games that are very similar.
But that
Like
was
I
just that
always,
was on your own, right?
yeah, so this
Yeah.
was always on my own.
Okay.
And until I started getting emails back from the devs, and they were just, giving me feedback on my suggestions. And like I totally melted at this point. I was like, I'm just like I didn't look at it as a job or anything back then. I just looked at, okay, I'm loving this game. I'm loving the direction it's going in, and
Yeah.
I want to be able to help what I can. After being invited to the live championships in Santa Ana, when I first walked into the esports arena and I saw Evo Finn, I saw Exceptions, and it was then, and it was probably over that 3 day weekend that I was like, you know what, this is my dream job,
Okay.
and I I fell in love with it. I was like, this is so awesome. Like this is something I really want to wake up early every day for. This is something I want to experience as much as I can.
Hmm. Had you done any of the other analysts like at an event like that prior to this? Did the
To
nerves get to you? Since I guess you're not playing, so it's less. Maybe it's less nervous, but just the fact that it is kind of it's live.
to be honest, like before this, and even when PlayoffBeard approached me and he was talking to me about it, I was like, I'm not too much of like a communicative person. I do talk a lot and stuff, but I do tend to stay off camera.
Hmm.
I'm very shy in like these aspects, and but I thought about it for like 15 minutes, and I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it. Like if I'm gonna do something, it might as well be now.
Right.
And yeah, it's like I don't I don't regret anything at all.
What was the preparation like going into that event? Did you like do research on all the players and all the teams going in there, and did you have like a big notebook full?
Actually, I did what I went out and bought a notebook,
Okay.
and so before the tournament happened, like I do get that that chance to play with a lot of like the higher ranking teams, and most of like the players that I am pretty acquainted with. So I do know their play styles. I do have a bunch of notes on them, but I just went through previous documented plays, and I just started researching up the teams, researching possible content for me to discuss with them.
Okay. And then so it was on the stage. It was you, Hafu, and PlayoffBeard, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
So I guess what was the dynamic like? PlayoffBeard was there to just kind of he is our voice of Vainglory, like he's the face we all know, and then you were kind of this more in depth, and Hafu's been I guess on the sideline a lot for the community, and she's like a more of a I guess a celebrity person
Yeah.
in the scene, right? So that's kind of
Well, before that actually started, Hafu is streaming for Vainglory, and so we do get a lot of instances where I do play with her. I actually play with her quite a bit. Apart from being like a celebrity, in terms of like the gaming community, I think Hafu actually does look at the game in like a perspective where I can really understand,
okay.
and that made discussing our content or discussing what we were gonna project during that stream for those days. It was a lot easier, like a lot easier than I expected.
Oh, that's good. Nice. So yeah, I think you all three had like a very good dynamic there, and it was some good insight into everything that was happening, and it was nice. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was my first time, so I had a blast, honestly. And like for like everybody that does watch at home and they do have a chance to attend one of the live events, it will blow their mind. And it's something where before I ever came to the event, or before when I was always watching the streams at home, and I'm watching the dev streams where they have all the streamers come in and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Maybe if I get a chance one day, I'll fly myself out, just check it out.
Yeah.
But after I went to the live event in California and in Europe, I was just like, oh man, this is on a different level. Like I have to be here.
Okay. And so, and then after, I guess after that event, they're basically impressed with what you were doing, and I'm sure you had like a good conversation there of like, hey, you want to do more of this, right? Is that like I'm sure there's in depth. I don't know all the back
Actually,
talk chatter there.
yeah. No, at the event, it was just more along the lines of so on the last day of the North America Championships, they're like, "Do you want to fly to Poland?"
Okay.
And I was like, "I can make arrangements, but how soon?" They're like, "Yeah, in like 2 days." And so I made the leap for it. I told this company I was working with at that time that I would be delaying some projects.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to Europe. See ya.
See, yeah. I know it's a tough thing for a lot of people to understand, but yeah, sometimes when you have, I guess you said your dream job kind of thing, you're like, you just have to go for it. You have to pull the trigger, right?
Definitely. Like now I'm doing more hours, I'm working more. I literally wake up and flip over, turn on the laptop. But the thing is, I love it. I love waking up early like this, and it's just awesome. Like the as your day goes along, as the things you like reach out to people, you're talking to a lot of people in the community, you're just shooting stuff back and forth with devs.
So technically, you are underneath the, I guess, VGL umbrella of Super Evil. Now that it's kind of all the same, but you're part of like that wing, I guess. Is that correct?
Well, originally it was to focus on all the tournaments, but primarily because VGL is been around, established for so long, and we're pretty much trying to build the right structure to be able to lead all the other tournaments into the future, for any plans that we may have.
Okay. I do want to dive into this coming VGL, but I know we got a few other things to talk about, so we won't go in there right yet. But so I guess the role now of VGL for you and Super Evil is just kind of this after game analyst every on those streams plus other thoughts on the game, right? That's kind of
Well,
what's your actual title here at Super Evil now?
so my actual title is project manager and desk analyst.
Okay.
So the desk analyst stuff is pretty much related to all the online, offline content that I would be speaking out in public.
Okay.
And apart from that, it's like what we're trying to do is be able to build a stronger foundation for the esports scene, for the competitive scene in Vainglory. And this isn't just for North America, it's not just for Europe, but we're trying to expand it to as many regions as we can.
Yeah.
And if you're able to look at the progression for Vainglory and for Super Evil in the last year, you actually have to notice, like, for a company of this size, the amount of work that they do pump out is insane.
Yeah, it was
Um,
what, 20 or 15 people as for the most part of most of last year, and now it's like what, 50, I think they said like the other week. So yeah.
yeah, and everything is pretty much breakdown in, like, in terms of you have patches releasing every few weeks, and so much is cranked into those patches, especially if you're getting map changes, to, like, for seasonal changes. You're
Mhm.
getting new heroes out, you're getting skins out, you're getting all this fine tuning. And if you notice, like, as the patches come out, the game gets more and more consistent towards how everything's trying to be balanced.
Yeah.
We're not getting as many problems
Okay.
as we did in the past, where CP Vox just came and
Sure, yeah.
told everybody to shut up.
Is now that you work for the company, like before it was you were in love with this game, has any of that magic changed? Is it like almost you were I guess when you start out into the game, you're like, "Oh my God, new thing, new shiny," and now you know all the secrets. But like when you see something, you're still like amazed, like, "Oh, that was my idea." Is it like a just a totally different feeling of the game and being like a part of it now?
Yeah, it's pretty much everybody's working towards the same goal, and I think that's what's really awesome about working at Super Evil, where there's so many ideas. Everybody's just trying to pitch in, and what we have to do is actually establish, like, a timeline on exactly when and where to do it.
Yeah.
Because before, like, coming onto the team, I always had these thoughts, and you know what, like, Christian or somebody would talk to me, and he would be like, honestly, we all have the exact same thoughts. We're
Okay.
just there is a timeline for it, and everything will come out.
Yeah, I'm sure now you know the inside and the timeline of like any small business or anything. It seems like everything moves quickly, but it's like, yeah, we can only do so much. Like, we want to do everything, and we can really only do so much.
No, well, in the end, like, in terms of what we do right now as a company, it is moving very quickly. But, like, in terms of how I think and, like, what I do want for the game, I sometimes I just want too much.
Right.
Sometimes I'm just like, okay, let's have, like, a 5v5 on a giant map and just make it crazy.
Right. And they're like, oh, we need to balance the game first and fix this
Yeah.
thing and move into these other territories and all that stuff. That's man, I feel like your story is very similar to some of the other people that gotten hired at Super Evil. Like they just they love the game, they're doing stuff within the community and just kind of just I don't know, just streaming or tweeting or building a guild, and they all just kind of and people get hired and then they work for the company. I think it's fantastic. Super Evil hires from within the community. I think it builds that trust of the players too.
Technically, in my opinion, I think the community has more voice, has more input into how this company
Okay.
is going in terms of direction. Like, let's say if 90% of the players were like, okay, you know what, Kraken is no good. We want the crocodile from Peter Pan or something.
Okay.
We'd be like, okay, you know what, you're gonna get a crocodile.
Oh man, I should use some power for evil.
Yeah, but you know, like, the communication between the devs and between the community, it's always been so open, and that's exactly how they approach the game. Like, when you first start playing, you do notice that in Vainglory, it's so easy to make friends online, in terms of how you're able to add people, how you're able to communicate with people. And that's exactly the same thing at Super Evil Megacorp, where the communication with the community is so open, where there's so much exchanging of ideas, thoughts, any comments, any concerns. Like, there's always somebody listening.
Yeah, that's I guess good to know. I think for anyone out there that is complaining about the game or wants to throw their iPad across because they're getting frustrated, knowing that someone on the other end is like hears their frustration. I think that's a nice feeling. I feel like that's a great story and a fantastic introduction of you and getting into this game. So I wanted to talk about also the jungle changes in 1.14, and then we'll get into some, I guess, VGL winter second qualifier hype here.
Vainglory News.
So you want to dive into these jungle changes? Because I know you helped put together, I think, the notes on them and like I guess maybe the insight in some stuff in these patch notes, correct?
So the first thing that people are noticing when they do hop into a game is that these jungle camps hurt a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of reasoning behind this, like especially if you're looking at jungle camps right now, you're just looking at them as a source of gold, you're looking at them as a part of your rotation.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms where by having them have more damage, it actually puts more depth into the gameplay. And we balance this out to be able to address across like all the different tiers by having extra healing coming out of the healing camps.
Right.
The idea of this is actually so that the game gets more balanced. It's harder to snowball, especially in the early game. Let's say you die, one of your carries die in the jungle, and what their carry is actually pretty low. It's actually you'll probably die right now if you're trying to steal anything.
Yeah, you kept hearing this term battle ready. Like it was like you have to decide, are you going to take this camp and maybe be wounded a little bit, or are you battle ready and ready for this fight? Are you going to jump on them when they're taking the camp? Like you're starting to have these, I guess, thoughts in your head.
Well, the idea is like for everybody that starts from the pretty much starts from their jungle camps in the back, and as they're wicking their way towards that middle, they have to put into considerations like we're a later scaling composition or we're an earlier scaling composition. Can we fight right now?
Yeah.
And because Vainglory has so many early team clashes in that middle jungle, you're getting fights at like level 1, level 2, and it's actually you have to play it very smart now in terms of how you're approaching this farming, how much XP you're gonna try and shift off to your carry as a roamer.
Right.
Like all these different things are taken into consideration, especially for that middle jungle, and if that laner is gonna rotate or not.
Mm-hmm. So why?
Sorry.
So why do the jungle shop minions, the little two guys down there, hurt more than any other minions? I feel like they are the strongest minions.
Well, they got souped up a bit because this is also we want to put more depth into like how to defend your jungle, how to make sure you don't get snowballed, and because now like the minion miners are taken a lot earlier. They're exchanged back and forth like quite often. This is also a very good chance for teams that are behind in terms of if they want to prevent a snowball, if they want to save that back jungle. Minion candy is actually one of the top things that we're just trying to make sure that everybody gets into the habit of using, into the habit of buying.
Okay.
Because with minion candies, you're able to help defend your back jungle. You're able to fend them off in case they're trying to go for that gold miner. There's like a lot of different aspects where you can put into play, like from the lane waves, being able to push a lot faster. Minion candy is something that should be used more often.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I was wondering about the two minions. I guess where big and little used to be that the full guys would call it. Those two by the shop camp. Like those two seem the strongest.
Overall, they're small, but they pack a punch.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like because the jungle camps do get stronger as the game scales on. This is so that heavier teams or like teams that are winning by a lot, they do take that extra time when they're trying to rotate through your jungle and they're trying to steal everything. It tries to balance it out so that it prevents snowball a little bit more.
Okay.
But if you are an aggressive early game composition, you do have that chance to snowball. You do have that chance to make those plays.
Mm-hmm. Who have you been seeing like the best clear and working the best in the jungle in this patch so far?
Well, the way I look at it is like even if you have a strong clear, it's not necessarily you'll have like a strong late game or a strong mid game. It just depends on how you play your team compositions or like the play styles that they're assigned. Right now, in terms of clearing, of course, I'd probably grab a Koshka, I'd grab a Sky, somebody that's able to spam abilities really quick and with area effect.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed. I've tried to CP Taka a few times. Like he's not great in the jungle, especially by himself.
Definitely. So what we noticed before was a lot of roamers were doing that jungle rotation, then they would go up and sit in lane.
Hmm.
It was pretty structured, it was pretty on the clock. With these jungle changes, you have to choose one or the other now. So by adding more strategic depth into it, it gives people the chance to try out different bunch of different compositions, try a bunch of different play styles, and overall, this actually helps us work towards making sure like balances in the future are in the right spots. It all adds up into like trying to form that one big picture.
Yeah, you do notice people, I guess, buddying up more. Like it's more of a buddy comp where the roamer is less of the roamer now. He's like, hey, I'm gonna stick with you. I'm gonna be the support that you know. I'm not just gonna just put some scout traps over here. Let me look over here, try to find them. So I think that's kind of nice.
Yeah, with like all the recent changes, I think time management is something that's going to be really important. How teams are able to manage their times between trying to pick fights, trying to farm, just positioning themselves in a really good way. And this actually helps a lot of the players that are coming into the game. They're getting used to like these kind of features where rotations start mattering really early, where you can't solo carry your entire team anymore,
Hmm.
and to be able to learn how to cooperate with others, to be able to learn how to just be a team player, it actually helps them in the long run.
Okay, and then the other big change to the jungle was the gold miner. Like in all previous patches, this was becoming just a place where you fight as soon as it's about to be full, maybe like almost 75%. Like, all right, we just all have to hang around here, protect it, and make sure they don't try to steal it. Or if you're on the other team, we got to try to get this quickly so we don't die and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, but I think looking back at those, like the objective was always very strong. But the one problem with it was because there was, if you do have it in your head, it's very hard to come back from. Making back that extra goal, trying to steal back that gold mine, or trying to push another objective when you're behind, it does get pretty hard. And because the gold miner stays neutral now, it's more back and forth and more pivoting. You do see a lot of teams take a longer time to actually finish games now. Matches probably last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of people are more cautious when they're approaching the center jungle. They're making sure that they're not getting involved in any skirmishes that could be like detrimental.
Especially if you're a Catherine and you accidentally a bubble a piece, bounces to the gold mine and get that splash damage and then you're getting attacked. Like that's just
Yeah.
backfires on you.
I actually do that a lot. Like, let's say two people are chasing me and I'm by myself, I would literally go up to the gold miner, I would hit it, and I would run as fast as I can.
Okay.
And if the gold miner locks onto one of the lower health carries or lower health heroes, I would actually run back to the gold miner, hang out.
So with the gold miner, like I've seen games where no one takes the gold miner. Like it just becomes this spot where, oh, we never had a good chance, or you're low, you're not battle ready, like we can't do it. And then by the 15-minute time, it's like, oh, no one got that extra gold. So it's a strange thing sometimes.
What happens now with this gold miner is having vision plays a lot into play right now. If you're able to get those proper traps or the proper flares into the enemy side of the jungle, if you're able to contain that area, taking out the gold miner is fairly easy. But if you're walking in blind all the time, most likely everybody's going to be very cautious. They're going to stay back, and that's when the gold miner just gets left alone.
Hmm. Uh, it does seem like people, when they can take it, you'll see people just almost take it over and over again. Like, oh, we pushed them all out of the jungle. They're afraid. It's got 40 gold in it. Let's grab it and just keep taking it. Like that happens sometimes too. If you're ahead, you might as well just keep grabbing that gold when you can.
Yeah, but it's also the other team also has an option of running in, putting up minion candies, trying to
True, yeah.
defend it off. Like these gold miners hurt. They hurt a lot.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many people try to pop those minion candies in there and try to like, I'm gonna, for, I guess, turn the tides here. Like you're trying to take money, I'm gonna make that guy fight for us now. Like I don't think that mindset has sunk in yet as much to the players.
Yeah, like new changes do take a bit of time for everybody to adjust to. Like looking at Kestrel for one, especially when she first came out, where everybody was just like, "Oh, Kestrel is crazy." Like, indeed, she was crazy, but I wasn't thinking like this is to a point where she's totally gonna wreck the balance.
Yeah.
I was looking at it, and it's easy to notice. Like at that time, everybody was playing Arden. Everybody was sticking to Glaive, Koshka, like heroes that are in the meta, right?
Right.
And Kestrel came in. She literally destroyed that current meta. But the thing about that was she has so many counters towards her, and the way that she scales her power spikes, it does fall off fairly early. And so I was watching a lot of the VGL games, and I was thinking, it's like just because people don't really know how to play against her yet, they're choosing to ban her first or pick her up 1st.
Mhm.
And I think it's like and it took some time, but everybody started hopping on. They started figuring out how to counter her, playing around her, and that's when she totally like just went by.
Yeah, like yeah, those teams, and we started to see like I think her win rate was pretty low at the end of the first qualifier there.
Yeah, and when people start figuring out how to play against somebody, they just eventually like because right now in Vainglory, every hero has a strength and a weakness. You're not gonna find somebody that souped up in everything where they have like the perfect kit.
Mhm.
So as long as you're able to understand those strengths, you're able to like benefit or like gain from those weaknesses, you're gonna win the game.
Nice. And then I guess the other objective change that's changed quite a bit in the jungle was the Kraken timing. Like him going from 4 minutes to 3 minutes is quite a big deal, especially if you're a team who's trying to push in to finish this game, and it's like, oh, we messed up that first Kraken. You usually have to wait 4 minutes to kind of you're ahead in gold. You can take them down any time, but you just can't take them down in front of two turrets. Like so,
Yeah.
this is becoming like I think you're seeing more Krakens in games.
Yeah, so what happened before was like, and Kraken was in a pretty good spot. What we figured out was there was too much dead time when Kraken was being taken, especially with how lane waves start stopping, and pretty much everything was revolved around the one Kraken. So now with like Kraken being able to spawn more, we're able to engage in more like determining skirmishes, more like game-ending fights.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, the thing is, with all the changes in place in the jungle and the lane with balances, we're trying to keep the game balanced in terms of the length of the game, and we're trying to hit that target. So making minor changes around actually works towards a bigger goal.
Yeah, I think this helps shorten it. The games are starting to get long at times, and now they are. They do feel a little faster back to maybe when I first started playing. They're like, oh, okay, this is that 15, 20-minute game that I had time to play, and now it's 30, and you know, have to leave. I gotta go to work or whatever.
Yeah. So I've had those 30-minute games and stuff, and they are exciting, they are fun. But you're also gonna want to be able to. You have to know that you're playing on a mobile, and I want to be able to play in the car. I want to be able to play in the mall,
Yeah.
and so finding like a perfect time to be able to give an estimate of when you're able to finish a match. It does help a lot.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, yeah, I think so. These jungle changes came, I don't know, a little over a year after the game launched here in NA. So I think we're probably the jungle feels like in a good spot right now to like ride this out for a while and see where it ends up. Right?
I
Like,
think that I think the new jungle mechanics is actually really good. It puts so much more depth in terms of when you're trying to approach the game, having early game comp scale, having late game comp scale. But I think we do need some minor tuning into how it scales, and I think that will be adjusted pretty quickly.
right? Yeah. But I don't think we'll see new a different kind of Kraken or anything like that anytime soon. Like for people that I guess start complaining about things quickly, like yeah, enjoy the game and try out some different things.
Yeah, I wish Kraken was on rollerblades.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
just make it run that much faster.
Hmm. And to think we haven't even seen uh, this jungle in a competitive match yet. We saw the Phoenix tournament. We've seen some Vainglory Masters series stuff, but we haven't seen VGL happen in this patch yet. So we really haven't seen how these pro players do it and how it trickles down to the rest of the community yet.
Well, pretty much right now it's like there are a lot of tournaments in place, and just recently it was the Phoenix tournament,
Yeah.
and a lot of like the top teams were in there, and a lot of them were playing. We did get a chance, or I got a chance to actually watch a lot of the games. I was watching new changes, or I was watching how teams approached like the recent meta, and it's all like a learning. It's like a learning step, and as you're watching them, you're getting more thoughts into how it can be approached or what can be done more efficiently.
Hmm.
And I think as VGL starts and as it goes on, we're going to be able to see like a more direct or a more distinctive picture of like how the jungle should be played.
Right. Yeah. And so VGL, the second qualifier here is starting. Was it 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
The VGL second qualifier is starting this
Oh,
weekend.
this week. Oh man, I'm like the weeks go so fast.
So yeah, this weekend is actually starting. And yeah, I'm so hyped up about this.
Okay.
I think, especially looking at the last qualifiers, we saw like I think the skill level has gotten raised up incredibly fast
Okay.
for the competitive players and the teams, and so you're getting a lot of upsets. You're getting a lot of really good matches against top tier teams,
Hmm.
and it's just been so much more exciting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. The teams going in when the first qualifier happened, and then even this qualifier, you see the list, and I know Super Evil does the like brackets where you enter. It's like I don't even know all these players are really good. All these teams are really good. It's hard to pick somebody. How like now that you're officially doing this full time, like what are you most excited for this qualifier and any like teams you're going to be looking out for? I know it's hard to you can't really pick a favorite now.
Um, like in terms of gameplay and stuff, I'm always impressed by really good mechanics. But I think in recent, and it was like Team Vaughn and Team Secret that really proved it, where
Yeah.
they came in and were like, okay, we have great mechanics, but we're gonna show you guys what synergy is like, and we're just gonna out rotate you, we're gonna outplay you. And to be honest, like watching those types of games is really impressive, especially when you're getting so many teams that are like doing the exact same things now, where they have the rotations down, they have the synergy down.
Hmm.
So it's an all-out battle of like everybody that's in that top tier with like a huge set of like qualities.
Right. I think that's something Gangstar Serious had, and I think still has, even with Fuji coming in there. I think they still play a lot together, and that same synergy will be there. And Alliance, they seem to have as well. And so, yeah, when you do see them, like, they know they've played so much together, they know where each other are going to be, they know what they need to be doing. So I agree. That's fun to watch.
Yeah, and it was Gangstar Serious that last qualifier, where I started paying a lot of attention to their drafts, and I put a lot of work like off in my free time to actually think up their drafts and just trying to figure it out. And like when it clicked, I was just like, wow. Especially like people saw a lot of those glaive that was roaming from Gabe Vizzle,
Hmm.
and logically, like in a game right now, it wouldn't work as well. But for the draft that they put it in, for the draft that they made their opponents pick, it was pretty epic.
And they gotta keep you on your toes, as the analyst. They gotta throw some curveballs at you.
Yeah, so I have to like sneak onto like secret accounts and just play solo queue all the time just to make sure get the dirt on everybody.
Right. Uh, and then so this qualifier will go through, and then we'll end with the live championships happening mid March, right?
Yeah, so North America is going to be, I think, March 11th to March 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And for Europe, is going to be a week after that.
Right. And you're gonna be, I'm sure, on the desk again as well.
Yeah, this time I'll be on the desk again. And don't worry, guys, it's getting better.
Okay.
I'm, wor- I'm working on it.
Well, yeah, is it, are we gonna see a bigger, better event this time? You think? It looked great from watching it here at home, so I'm sure like it's some of those kinks are worked out this time, and it's just gonna be I guess everyone knows each other even more now than they did at the first live championship.
Yeah, and it's not just the live championships. Like, if people are watching during the qualifiers and stuff, as each stream day progresses, we're actually working out kinks like on the go just to make it better, like in the long run. We're just trying to make that strong foundation so that once the tournaments in other regions get started off, we have like a basic guideline for everybody to pretty much learn upon.
Okay. Are you going to be involved with the South America and the Chinese VGL at all, or are you just kind of
I'm trying to poke my head into everything.
okay?
Yeah, they pretty much gave me a key and they just said,
Go for it.
go for it.
All right, because I was the VGL, the South American VGL kicked off I think last weekend with God's Eye was shoutcasting it. I tuned in, but we don't have an English stream
Yeah,
of that yet, so
I was tuning in too, and because it's streaming in a language that I don't understand, when they got hyped up, it just sounded so much more interesting.
right. I think I love watching the Korean streams just for that.
Yeah.
Other games. And then any plans? Are you going to be able to go to VIPL at all if that happens again? We don't have any dates or info on that, or outside of Super Evil. I don't think anyone knows anything yet.
It would all like depend on my schedule. I do have pretty hefty schedule,
Okay.
to be honest, and yeah, if things work out or if it's like proper timing, that could probably work out really well. It'd be awesome to be able to check out the scene they have there, how the production is ran.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, exciting! Yeah, VGL moves so fast. Like you said, it's this weekend. I thought it was 2 weeks. Like the amount of games that they have set up to happen is just really exciting.
Yeah, so it goes VGL 1 week off, VGL 1 week off, boom, live.
Yeah.
And then then you get like a couple weeks off, and then it's all over again.
And then next season starts. Wow, awesome. Well, Rome, thank you for joining me. This was fantastic hearing your story. These jungle changes, I think everyone's gonna learn a bit, and hopefully they're getting the hang of not dying in the jungle now.
Yeah, thanks, Brad, for having me. And yeah, I'll keep watching just to see what kind of hats you pull out next
All
week.
right, yeah, we'll see. How can people find you? You're on Twitter, right? If they want to ask you any questions or, how can they get in touch?
So my Twitter is position_Rome. And I encourage everybody, like, even if they're not on a competitive team, even if they're just new to the game, I'm always free to talk to the community, to new players, and either reach me in game or reach me on Twitter,
Okay.
and you'll most likely hear a response back from me.
Nice, okay. And then you can follow Shatter the Vein on Twitter at Shatter the Vein. I probably will get back to the 1 episode a week format here soon, not these 2-3 episodes that I've been cranking out. Just everyone, so many good people to talk to, and I just gotta say yes.
Yeah,
Gotta see what they say.
You've been pumping it out pretty quickly in the last 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, we had the Vertigo episode, Gangstars. I have a Team Secret episode that should be coming up here very soon. So
that should be really exciting to watch. I'm always curious. Like, Team Secret is one of those teams that when I'm watching them play, when I'm watching them draft, I'm always curious about what they're up to. And and it's really exciting, especially like they have that surprise factor towards them. And I think that's great to bring into like the competitive scene.
Yeah, they were pretty fun guys, hilarious to talk to. So looking forward to sharing that. That'll be up at shatterthevein.com. So keep an eye out for that. And that's where all these episodes live. So head over there and subscribe, leave reviews on iTunes. I love seeing those, and I share them as well. That'll do it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Shatter the Vein.
Let's get this over with.